A few years ago, I came across this concept called the locus of control. It's an idea from psychology and essentially means you either have an internal or an external locus of control. And your locus of control determines your perception of the cause of things. So if you have an external locus of control, then you view everything in the world as happening to you, caused by external forces, and that you have very little control over things. So you kind of live this life of a victim, or like a leaf being blown in the wind. Now, someone with an internal locus of control perceives themselves as the agent of change in their life. So the things happening to them, they are causing and they have control over and they can change. And the good news is you can change your locus of control simply by making a different choice, having a different perspective. It can take some practice, but it's very useful to consider because once you have an internal locus of control, you actually begin to see more and more opportunities to shape your life. You see ways to make different choices and affect the outcomes in your life. One thing to also realize is ultimately, even if some things are outside of your control, which of course they are, you do control how you respond and how you react, and that will then affect the cascade from there on, right? So if someone gets mad at you, you get to choose how you respond, and that will then affect their response and ultimately the rest of both of your lives. In a way, every single interaction you have with another person changes you and changes them forever. So you might as well make those interactions positive to the best of your, control. So I actually have a story to share about this. Many years ago, I was like in my early 20s. I was renting a basement from my friend's townhouse. And the compound had a pool building. So I went to the pool. It was after 10 p.m. And I didn't know this at the time, but the pool was off limits after 10 p.m. So anyway, I go there. It was dark. I change into my swim trunks. I'm just swimming. And then suddenly this lady is yelling at me. And so I get out of the pool and she tells me to get out. So I go to the changing room to put on my clothes. And the whole way there, she follows me and she's yelling at me this entire time. And basically, what I can glean from what she's yelling at me is that the pool is closed after 10 p.m. and there are signs that are saying this, but it was too dark for me to see the signs. And I don't really get a chance to explain myself, so I'm just listening to her. And this goes on for like 10 to 15 minutes. She's like getting red in the face and everything, the whole 9 yards. I'm kind of stressed out, but I'm just like listening. And then I try to explain at one point, oh, I didn't see the signs. It was dark. I didn't know. Now I know, so I won't, make the mistake again. And at one point, I remember thinking, wow, she really cares about this rule, which I kind of respected, right? So she was the strata manager. So it's her job to enforce the rules. So I can understand. So I didn't really blame her. Then at one point, oddly enough, she went quiet. And then she said, you're a really respectful young man. And I was kind of taken aback at this. And then she said, you know what, actually, feel free to use the pool anytime. If anyone gives you any trouble, tell them I said it's okay. And I was really surprised. And I went home kind of confused. And I, slept on it. And the next day I woke up and I kind of had a realization. It wasn't about the rule. That wasn't what she was mad about. What she was mad about was a perceived slight in terms of respect. She felt I had disrespected her authority because I broke the rules, because she thought I did it on purpose. Then, as I listened to her, she started to feel bad that I was, you know, that she was yelling at me this much about an honest mistake. And she also probably realized at some point I didn't break the rule on purpose. And so she overcorrected the other way by telling me I can break the rule whenever I want. So it was never about the rule. And this taught me an important lesson, which is that sometimes people will get mad and it won't be about the thing that they say it is. It'll be about something else, often respect or love or power or control, whatever it might be. And it's important to be aware of that so that you can respond appropriately. Now, if I had also responded in kind and gotten angry and started yelling back, it probably wouldn't have ended well for either of us. But just by listening and waiting, the outcome was much better. So this relates to the locus of control idea because someone else going through the exact same scenario might have reacted differently and it might have caused them to be banned from the pool entirely. But I just listened, and that led to a whole different outcome. So this might seem like something you have no control over, but actually the way you respond has a huge impact. So the next time you're in a situation that feels out of your control, just take a step back and think, well, how can I choose to respond? What can I do next? You always have a choice. And the more you practice this, the more the internal locus of control will become a way of living. And then you'll start to feel more agency and feel really like the master of your own universe rather than someone who's just affected by everything and has no control. Keep it up.